You're not going to believe the truth I'm about to tell you, because it took them more than 70 years to figure it out. And when they finally said it out loud, everything went quiet, the room, the air, even their own heartbeat. And today, they want you to hear it too. Not next year, not when you're older, not when life forces you to slow down, right now. Because this one lesson, this one shift in thinking could save you decades of regret. And yes, it might even change the way you wake up tomorrow morning. So let me take you there to the moment they realized it, and to the moment everything in their life snapped into focus, to the moment they said, I wish someone told me this sooner. But before we get to the lesson itself, you need the story behind it, because without the story, the lesson won't hit as hard as it should. It starts with a quiet morning, no drama, no big event, just a soft sunrise pushing through the curtains of a small kitchen. They were sitting alone, a cup of coffee, a half-written grocery list, and a sudden thought that felt heavier than usual. It was this, how did life go by so fast? That question stayed in their chest. Slow, deep, cold. Maybe you felt that way too. Like time is running faster than you are, like the years blur together, like you can't tell where the last decade even went. They felt it stronger than ever at 72. And that morning, they realized something they had ignored for decades. They said, my whole life I was busy, but I wasn't always living. That sentence might feel simple, but wait, there's more behind it than you think, because the real lesson, the one they want you to hear, is not about time slipping away. It's about what they discovered after that realization. They told me this, I spent so many years looking ahead that I forgot to look around. Hold on to that line for a moment, let it sit, because in a minute, I'm going to tell you the part that shocked me. The part that explains the real problem so many people don't see until it's too late. But let me tell you what happened next. They pushed the coffee aside, walked to the window, and watched their neighborhood wake up. Cars, dogs, kids, the world moving like it always does. But something was different that morning. They weren't looking at the street. They were looking at their own life, piece by piece, memory by memory, choice by choice. And suddenly, they saw a pattern they never noticed before. They had spent their best years rushing to work, rushing to fix things, rushing to build a future they never paused to enjoy. Then they said something I'll never forget. You don't realize life is happening because you're too busy preparing for life to happen. That's when it hit them. Hard, painful, real. And that's where the most powerful lesson begins. But before I reveal it, I need to tell you the story that unlocked it in their heart. Because the truth didn't come from a book, or a quote, or a video. It came from a moment with someone they loved. It was the day they visited their old friend, someone they had known since childhood. He was 80, soft voice, shaky hands, a smile that carried 8 decades of stories. They sat together on a porch swing, slow, creaking, peaceful. And in the middle of a quiet pause, the friend said something unexpected, and he said, you ever notice how the older you get, the smaller your world becomes? They looked at him, confused. And he added, when you're young, you want everything, every dream and every chance, every place. But when you're older, you realize you only need a few things, and most of the things you chased never really mattered. That sentence cracked something open inside them, a truth they had avoided, a truth most people avoid. And that truth led them to the final realization. The one single lesson they want the world, especially you, to hear. This is what they said. At 70 plus, the most powerful lesson I learned is this. Life only gets heavy when you try to carry things that were never meant for you. Read that again, slowly, because that one line explains so much. Think about it. The stress you feel, the pressure, the comparison, the guilt, the rushing, the deadlines, the fear of not being enough, most of it isn't even yours. And they realized that so late in life that it almost broke them. They carried expectations that weren't theirs. They carried opinions that never helped them. They carried mistakes long after they stopped mattering. They carried regrets like heavy stones in their pockets. And they said, if I had learned this lesson earlier, I would have lived lighter, much lighter. So I asked them, how do you let go? How do you release all that weight after so long? And the answer was so simple, it shocked me. They said, you stop living for the version of yourself other people expect, right? And start living for the version of yourself you actually are. Then they paused, looked me in the eyes, and said, wait, most people never meet the person they were meant to be because they're too busy trying to be the person they think they should be. That line stayed with me for days, and maybe it's staying with you right now too. But the story wasn't finished because the lesson didn't just stop there. They shared something even deeper, something that explains why this mindset shift changes everything. They said, when you're young, you believe you have time. When you're older, You understand time is the most expensive thing you own. And the cruelest thing is, you spend it like it's free when you're young and protect it when it's almost gone. That's when their voice cracked, just a little. Because this lesson wasn't a theory, it was a confession. And they said, I wasted years worrying about things I don't even remember now. And maybe that hits you in some way. Maybe you're worrying about something right now, something that feels huge, something that feels heavy. But 5 years from now, you might not even remember it. Then they added one more thing. And this part, I want you to listen to carefully. It's not the years that make you wise. It's the moments you finally stop trying to outrun your own life. What does that mean? It means wisdom doesn't arrive at 70. Wisdom arrives the moment you stop living on autopilot. The moment you wake up, the moment you look around and say, this is my life. Not the life I'm supposed to have. Not the life someone wished for me. Not the life I'm comparing to others. This one right here, mine. That's when everything changes. But the story still isn't done, because something happened the next day that pushed the lesson even deeper. They decided to do something small, something simple, but something they hadn't done in decades. They took a walk, not fast, not for exercise, not for steps, not for a goal, just a slow walk around the block, and they noticed things they hadn't seen in years. A neighbor's wind chime, the smell of fresh-cut grass, a child's laughter echoing down the street, a bird on a fence post, the warmth of sunlight on their arm, tiny things, quiet things, but real things. And in that walk, they realized something that connected every piece of their lesson together. They said, life isn't in the big moments. Life is in the small moments you ignored. That's why the years feel like they fly. Not because time is moving fast, but because you were too distracted to notice it. Then they told me this, if you want your life to slow down, start paying attention. But that one hit me hard. Because if you think about it, almost everything we rush through are the things we look back on later and miss. The noisy kitchen, the busy mornings, the people talking over each other, the drive home, the dinners that felt ordinary, the hugs we brushed off because we were in a hurry. Those are the scenes people cry over when they're older. Not the achievements, not the accomplishments, not the trophies, the moments. The lesson they learned at 70 plus is wrapped in all of this. But here is how they summarized it in one final line. Live light, live slow, live real, live now. They said those 4 lines with the calmest voice, like someone who had finally put down a weight they carried for decades. Then they looked down at their hands, hands that had lived through 70 plus years, hands that had held joy, pain, work, loss, love. And they said, you'll never get these years back, but you can make sure the years ahead feel like they belong to you. So I asked them, what do you want younger people to understand? What's the one thing you wish they knew? And they answered with no hesitation, don't wait for life to slow down. You slow down, you choose how present you are. You choose what matters. You choose what you carry and what you put down. And if you don't choose, life chooses for you. Then they said something that stayed with me more than anything else. People think the biggest regrets come from what they did. But at 70, you learn the biggest regrets come from what you never made time to feel. Let that sink in. Because right now, you're still in the part of life where you can change direction, where you can shift your focus, where you can drop the weight you don't need, where you can decide what actually matters. That's the gift they wanted to pass on, the wisdom they didn't want you to learn too late. And as the conversation ended, they gave one last piece of advice, quiet, soft, but unforgettable. Make your life lighter today so you don't wake up at 70 wishing you started earlier. And maybe today is your day to start.